and I've jotted down some points, and in no particular order, I'm going to address some of these issues as best as I can. Somebody said, I think the person that said he did, he has a master's in international law, if you remember that speaker. So he said someone gave him a piece of advice that stuck with him, and that's that in the next election, he should make use of cultists. I want to talk about that. Just 2 days ago, we arraigned in court Wasiu Akinwande, popularly known as Ologesho. He was arrested in Mushin. And in the course of interrogation, so the case is in court, I won't speak much about it, but in the course of interrogation, he confessed to being a political thug. So if you want to toe that line, you want to get cultists, you want to arm them for political gains. So what happens after the election? So after election, Wasiu Akinwande became a land grabber, a murderer, an assassin, allegedly, because the case is in court, but that's what we have found out in our investigation. So I just want to quickly say, please, using cultists is not the way to go, because after election, they will become a menace to society. Now, people complain about Mushin not being safe. We saw families that came out. The NewsCentral was there. I don't know if you can make or you can just search for it on YouTube. A mother came there and was crying about how this man killed her son. Another woman showed us her leg, how this man shot her on the leg, and she's limping till today. So I don't want to belabor the point, but we don't need to, out of annoyance, say we want to use cultists, because we recover over 7 AK-47 rifles from him. So politicians don't actually recover these guns after they win their offices. So please, cultism is not the way to go. I needed to make that point. Okay, somebody asked, thank you very much, somebody asked, what did CP go to do in First Tag? CP should tell us what he came to do in First Tag. It wasn't just First Tag. CP was in Surulere that same day. I was with him. CP was in Ikorodu that same day. We visited different parts of Lagos just to see how the election was going. And people were there. It wasn't under the cover of darkness. It was right there. So if you're asking us what CP came to do, you can as well ask people that were there. We went there, we asked the electoral officers, how is it going? We saw some voters, what do you have to say? And some people even complained about electoral officers not being there yet, and they've been there since morning. Well, we are there to provide security. So for that, LASEC will handle it. We actually placed a call to LASEC too. So my point is, we're just there to supervise and see that things were going right. So it's not like we went there for any nefarious activity. I make bold to say it. Yes, I like that Felicity said something, that people have been talking about things that did not go right. How come nobody has come out to talk about how things went smoothly in a particular police unit? Now, we have 13,325 polling units in Lagos. If we decide to collate where we had issues, you will discover that we've just decided to focus on the problems. I'm not saying these problems are not valid. I'm not saying they did not happen. But my point is, if we decide to be objective, okay, so let's collate. I'm not sure we have up to 1,000 units. We have problems. So talking about percentage, I'm sure that we had over 90% success in polling units. No, just let me talk. We have over 90% success. Now, how do I know this? There's something we call ICES, Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security. All security agencies and LASEC and even the NYSC, and we also have what we call IPAC, the Inter-Party Advisory Council. So we're all on the same page. So for this last election, we had a joint control room where we had a representative from the Civil Defense, from the Army, Navy, Air Force, DSS, and the police. The control room was situated within the premises of the police headquarters in Ikeja, and we had our radio gadgets, our walkie-talkies, and monitoring the airwaves. All agencies were on board. Also, days before the election, we issued a statement reading out phone numbers. That was when we talked about restriction of movement. So my point is, we made phone numbers available, not just to Lagosians, also to parties, to party agents, to LASEC, to everyone. We also had a joint control room where we're monitoring the airwaves, waiting to receive distress calls so that we can attend to these things. And so that's how I'm able to confirm, and also moving around Lagos, that's how I'm able to confirm that we didn't have issues in up to 1,000 polling units. So going by percentage, if I write an exam, if you write an exam, and you score over 90%, there's no reason for you to write that exam. You cannot cancel it and say, oh, the election was a total failure and we need to do it again. It was successful. Talks about voter apathy. Well, I don't want to talk about that. Mine is to focus on security. I think the parties and LASEC can talk about voter apathy. I also want to go to something I jotted. Yes, somebody talked about thugs came to the polling unit. They were cutting away things, and the policeman was there. He did nothing. I like that. That you were factual. The policeman, not the policeman. Now, even if they were policemen, the arrangement we had, which we informed parties about, which everyone agreed with, was that we were going to have a minimum 3 policemen per polling unit, or 3 security operatives. And to make sure we achieve this number, the IGP approved the deployment of extra 6,000 policemen to Lagos. They came. And we had these policemen per polling unit. No party raised an objection at that point too. We also agreed that security operatives would not be armed. No party raised an objection. We're all on the same page. Because they said at polling units would cause fear, would cause panic. People would not want to come out to vote. We also made a statement, we issued a statement. In our statement, the same statement I referred to earlier, we made it clear that VIPs will not be allowed to come with armed escorts to the polling units. We just don't want guns. So, you have 3 security operatives unarmed. You have possibly 10 thugs. We've had this conversation before. We had 10 thugs invading that place. Rather than the policemen getting hurt or injured, they would rather, it's standard practice everywhere in the world. You don't need to make mockery of those officers. It's standard practice. When you are outnumbered, call for backup. And this is what would happen over and over again. Trust me, 2027, the same thing will happen unless IPAC, ISES, all the parties, we can go back to that same drawing board we went to where we agreed that security operatives should not be armed. So we are simply playing by the rules we all agreed on. So it doesn't mean the police did nothing. Of course, the police was there. The police observed. And they'll get back to the station and submit a report on what's transpired. And this report, every party would be privy to it, even ISES, or even last year, rather. Yes, I would like to say something about why get a polling unit from here to there. Okay, so we are there to provide security. There is an electoral officer in charge of that polling unit. And do not forget that everything we're doing in terms of election is guided by the Electoral Act. So it's about the Electoral Act. And I don't know if it's also called presiding officer for local government elections, but the person in charge of that polling unit, the presiding officer, decides when voting starts, decides when voting ends, has the power to call security operatives to say, this person is troublesome, take him out of here. He has that power. We listen to them. He's the custodian of the Electoral Act there, not the party agents. It's not about the party act, it's about the Electoral Act. And that's the electoral officer. So if in his wisdom, his or her wisdom, he says that this particular place is not safe for our election, would like to relocate, as long as there is no major or massive opposition to it, if we're all on the same page, and as long as the police, all the setup for that polling unit can also move, yes, in the interest of security, it can move. So I don't want us to just make a blanket statement. No, I understand where you are coming from. I understand where you are coming from. I won't be, let me speak please. I won't be blind or deaf the point you made about relocating a polling unit into a chairman's office. I heard that clearly. Relocating into a chairman's office, I heard that clearly. But I'm saying again that in the interest of security and not to disenfranchise anyone, if we need to relocate a polling unit, we would. And I also jotted the point, pardon me. That's fine.
Please, please say. Gentlemen and ladies, please, we'll definitely take reaction. One house.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I need to wrap up because questions need to be asked. But somebody said LASEC does not have the power to relocate a polling unit. It's not out of the ward. It's still within the same ward. We are not saying you are moving from one ward to another. If I'm moving a polling unit from the front of this building to the front of the next building, it's still within the same ward. So I'm not talking about moving. I need to quickly round up. Yes, somebody said here, we have videos, we have evidence. I have given it to your producers. Please, I would also like to appeal. When you have these things, channel it through the appropriate quarter, or channel it to the appropriate quarters. So it's okay to send to the producers of NewsCentral TV. But where necessary, like someone was saying, though the person used derogatory language, that the CP was so useless, the IG was so useless, which I take an exception to. But in that case, if I say forward your evidences to the Commissioner of Police, because you don't even trust the Commissioner of Police, why not IG? If you don't trust him too, we have the law has made it easy for you to make your complaints. The Police Service Commission is there, and the Police Service Commission has the power to discipline any erring police officer. Why not the Senate Committee on Police Affairs? Why not the Ministry of Police Affairs? So I'm just saying, in addition to sending these things to the producers, please also make use of the appropriate channels. I think I'll stop there so I can take a question.
All right, thank you. All right, just two questions. One, two. One. Okay, one. I have a man. I'm told to be gender sensitive. We only have 2 slots. One, I need a lady. 2. Thank you. So let's start with you, sir.
Yeah, my question for you, the police officer, your duty.
Your name?
My name is Honorable James Adeshino, former IPAC chairman. My question to you is this. Knowing fully well your duty, which is to protect lives and property. So in a situation whereby your men are not harmed at the polling units, why don't you have them maybe a little bit far from the polling unit, armed with guns, so that when the talks, the cultists comes around to disrupt the election, your boys can, maybe ensure that they survey the situation? Why is it not like that? Because if you are saying that you are putting it in the hands of political stakeholders in Lagos State and the ISES or whatever you call to decide for you, it means that you are kind of relinquishing your own duty to other people to do.
All right, thank you very much. The second question, quickly. Sorry. No.
Okay. I've been raising my hand. Thank you very much. Okay, I would like to address the issue of security. The state PRO said your role in observing, going around the polling booths is to provide security. But if that is truly the case, how come there's so much voter apathy? People are scared of going to vote because the thugs are always around attacking people. Not just the local government election, even during the last presidential and gubernatorial election. I have some of my neighbors who were stabbed. Somebody said, he heard that if you know you are not going to vote for APC, better don't come here. People are scared. So I want you to address that. It's not just about you are going around to ensure that security. If you are not armed, how do you ensure that when the thugs are approaching, like he said, how are you going to observe, find solution to that. And secondly, I want to say this to the generality of everybody here. We've all been complaining, but nobody even made mention of holistic solution to all this. Now we have civil liberties organization. We have human rights activists. What are we doing about sensitizing the masses, about making demand on the National Assembly to review the Constitution, to ensure that everybody in this country exercise their franchise, their civil rights? Most times, a lot of people are scared of going to vote because they are scared of being armed. Now, we also look at separation of powers. How come that the judiciary is not independent? How come the INEC cannot be made to be independent? What are our senators doing? What are the National Assembly doing? We should look at it from that angle. Please, your name? Your name. My name is Grace Ode. I'm a member of NNPP.
All right, thank you very much. The final question.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, my name is Temila Dialunye. So, sir, I have a question for you. You mentioned that the IG deployed 6,000 new policemen into the state during the local government election. And then, are you saying that we only have 33,900 police officers working in Lagos with our number of population? So I just want to know, please. That's one. Then the second word will now be that I know you very well. We know you online. You always drop information. It's almost a month that the election had happened. What are you doing to drop an holistic report for us to know exactly what your own concerns are? Because if you are not dropping this information, we will just continue to attack you and we will not know what you are doing.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. I know that there are quite a number of us that still have concerns. Our digital team is on standby, so even after the program, you can approach us and we'll definitely take them. All right, over to you, sir.
So I think just two questions concern me. The question about separation of power doesn't fall within my purview. The first one is also the first question of the lady about why don't you have armed police officers? Of course, I was talking about polling units. I don't mean that all armed officers have gone to sleep. I don't mean that we have closed down the police station. I don't mean that we have withdrawn all patrol. I was talking about polling units. Definitely, we're still on patrol. Even the DSS was out on patrol. Even the army was out on patrol. Unfortunately, you could not move. There was restriction of movement, but I moved around with the Commissioner of Police, and I saw lots of armed men around, but away from polling units. And that's why I said we had a control room where people could call and say, there's something going on here. And every representative in that control room, the representative of the army, the DSS, the civil defense, has the obligation to quickly inform his own organization so that everybody can join hands together and quell such problem. Then the second question about when are we going to present a report? Yes, we, the ISIS, the police, we are presenting our reports to the IG. So for Lagos, we are presenting our report to the IG. But that aside, I always, with the permission of the Commissioner of Police, I always oblige invitations like this so that we can discuss issues. So the report you are not getting in bulk, you can get in piecemeal through the questions you ask. So we are open to any question you have. Talking about, I don't know how you did the maths. I don't know how you did the maths. You said if they brought 6,000 police officers, am I saying 33,000 something? First, where did you see the total you are deducting from? I really don't. You are, okay, that's, nah.
I don't want to, please, wait. I'm not trying to attack. I want clarity. You said we had 13,300 polling units. If you do a math by 3, we are looking at 33,900 for the 3 without your 6,000. So if you had your 6,000, we are looking at like a 39,900.
Okay, you are assuming that every, hold on, I'll answer, I understand you perfectly. But you are assuming that every single police officer will be on election duty. No. If we are bringing in 6,000 officers, that's because we can't use every single police officer for election. We have officers posted to government house. We have officers posted to critical national infrastructure. We have officers with judges. We have officers everywhere. So we can't pull out everybody and make other places bare. So it doesn't add up the way you're saying. But still, we have enough police officers in Lagos. But because of the fear people have for election, we have to bring, and thankfully, it's not a general election where other states too are having elections. So they were able to give us officers for adequate security of the election. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.